Welcome back to the second segment of this show. And as we've learned from the first segment, is that addiction is a process.
Yes.
It's not something that happens in a day or in a week or in a month. So how, maybe you can take us through this process of addiction, how one gets addicted. Yes, before we
Thank you,
proceed.
Fancy. So addiction, as you have put it very rightly, it's a process. You cannot drink the way you're taking water here, that is alcohol, and then tomorrow you are told,
You're
hey, you are
addicted.
addicted. So it's normally a process. And it starts from, it has 5 stages. So I'm going to start from the beginning. The beginning stage, we call it experimental, or the first contact that you have contact with the substance, whether it's alcohol, whether it's marijuana, whether it's tobacco. So that experience will either feel the euphoria to need more, or the experience is so bad you don't need anymore. So after the experimental, or what we are calling the first contact with drugs, you go to the next stage, which we call social. Now, social is whereby you're doing it to interact with peers, to be accepted by your peers,
To belong to a
to
group.
belong to this. A lot of people in Kenya now, they are having like a class. For you to be in a certain class, you have to be
Status
drinking at
quo.
status. Have to be in this specific place.
Yeah.
How will people know? So the drink culture of a country is quite different from a lot of other cultures. Ours is really unique as Kenyans, because I would miss on my child's football game, but I won't miss on my friends,
My my drinking club.
my joint. So we have prioritized drinking. So Kenyans say they are social drinkers. So what pertains social drinking? Social drinking normally, from an addiction part of it, is where you drink when there's something going on socially. It's a birthday party, it's an end of year party, it's your birthday, it's Valentine, it's Easter. So there's something social going on.
Occasional drinking.
We're calling it
Social.
social drinking. But if you're drinking every Friday, that's no social drink.
It changes.
It has changes. So social drinking, if that one motivation is to fit in, to be accepted by peers, to be with the trends, or to be seen you are also one of us. So rarely in social stage does anybody see it as a big deal. I mean, I only drink, I still pay rent, I still pay school fees, I don't miss work. So they are very functional at social stage. So rarely does anybody look at it like it can be negative. How?
But still up to tasks.
Yeah, but very many things, especially in the field of HIV, happen in the social stage. Research done in South Africa was telling us that social drinkers had a higher chance of turning out HIV positive than non-drinkers. Because when you're a social drinker, remember, everything is functioning. And what alcohol does, it removes something we call inhibition. Inhibition, Fancy, is something that the way you're seated here now, very aware of what is going on. If you started drinking this water or something, you start becoming very uneasy, no, very hyper. You cannot contain yourself. And the inhibition, something that tells you calm down, you might start using stronger words because the inhibition is gone. So in social stage, when the inhibition goes away, then you tend to be exposed to multiple sexual partners because you're high and you have desires and you want to feel those desires at that point in time. And I make this joke that's why most joints have rooms, not because they're psychologists, but because they know the desires will go up of these people. And therefore, we still need money from me, the short time rooms or whatever they call them, because the desire is there. But when the action is not normally there, the action, but because of the highness, alcohol makes us do things, and it makes us less ashamed of doing them very badly. So whatever you're doing it very badly, but you are less ashamed because you are high. So that is alcohol social stage. From social stage, then you go to a very interesting stage called instrumental. Instrumental, Fancy, you have learned by now to manipulate your emotions. So I'm sad about my friend who passed away. You drink. So it's an instrument. I'm drinking to calm the sadness away. You're excited. Your son did well so much in the exams.
You drink.
You drink. You're sad. Your boss alikukemea. You drink. You're excited. Your sister is getting married. You drink. So either way,
So there's something.
it's an instrument for you to do things.
Yeah.
So some people say I cannot talk in front of people. So I use alcohol as an instrument to help me talk. Most women say, my husband when he's sober hanichapangi, but immediately he drinks, atakuja. Kwa hivyo, my husband is not bad, alcohol ndio baya. So they're using the alcohol as an instrument to come and become very abusive and also beat you. So you're using alcohol as an instrument now to cope with your feelings and your emotions, and still you're using it as part of recreation. But at this stage of instrumental is a stage where it's like the alcohol is taking over or the drug is taking over.
It's in charge at the moment.
Not really, but it's like it's taking over because that's how you manipulate. The easiest example I want to give you is what is happening now currently. Schools have just opened, and we do work with different schools, both public and private. And because of the tests we do, right now I'm seeing people who are in Form 4. In my mind, I'm assuming they should be serious, but they're using marijuana. When you ask this young man or woman, why are you using? I'm so stressed up because I didn't put effort that I was supposed to put since Form 3. The exam is 2 months away. So I'm so stressed up. So I'm using marijuana so that I just feel I'm not worried about the exam. Yet I'm worried.
Is it a reliever or what?
So that's what they're telling you. So you see, they're using the marijuana as an instrument to help them cope with. They are not ready for the exam, and of course, when they use it, they won't even read because it's more of a procrastinator. You procrastinate a lot. So to me, I'm telling them you are self-harming yourself. You are self-sabotaging. Unless you put this thing away, with these 2 months, you can do what you will do, which will be your best. So that's a way. They're using the substance as an instrument to help them cope with the anxiety and the fact that they are feeling they have been caught up.
And to overcome the fear.
So they are using it more than ever as an instrument now. So when you leave the instrumental stage, you come to a stage as we call dependence. Dependence means you will not do anything fancy without that drug. You depend on it. Easiest example I give is people who smoke cigarettes. When they wake up in the morning, before they say hi or open their mouth or do anything, they have to light it up. That's when they feel like their brain has opened up. So it's dependence. If they want to eat a meal, or if they eat a good meal, they will still light up. If they have an intense moment, they go away and use. So they're dependent on this thing. So dependency means these drugs and substances, you're using them as medicines for your problems. Good times, bad times. So if somebody takes away the drug when you're independent, you experience what we call withdrawal symptoms. So assuming I smoke cigarettes and I don't smoke, maybe because I was going to a hospital setup where there is no smoking or whatever, I'll start experiencing headaches, irritability, yawning, excessive yawning and stretching, and that's withdrawal. And I will constantly be asking myself, when will we stop this so that I can go smoke? When will we? So it means you're seriously dependent on this thing. So dependency is like without that thing, you cannot function. You cannot sleep without it. You cannot eat without it. You cannot communicate.
It has become part of you.
Yes. Now that's where you are. It's part of you. Now from dependency, if you are in a workplace, you will get what we say warning letters. You are either late, you're constantly stealing because you need money for this. You're doing funny, shady deals. So I want you to see what addiction does. So somebody who was okay, they'll do deals at their workplaces, whether public or private, to make more extra money just to go and drink. So be doing funny deals. So warning letters, home front, you're already having issues with your spouse if you have one, with your children. If you're still with your parents, you're having issues with them because they're noticing there's something wrong here. You are in constant need of money that is never enough. So even if it's end month like now, and you have your salary, it won't be enough because your priorities are flipped. Niko na do naenda out sherehe nini. So by the time you remember I have a house to rent, to pay, I have food to buy, I have children to take to school, all your money is gone through the share, whatever you're calling sherehe. So dependency, if you'll be able to arrest it from there, you can reverse it, but it will still need an intervention. The last stage and the worst, we call it compulsive. Compulsive stage is now what we call addiction. By this stage, you have already lost your job for sure. You've lost your family if you had one. You've lost things because it reaches a point when you start selling your things when you're in compulsive stage because you have to have the drug. At this point, chemicals are running your life. You don't have a life. So you wake up, look for the drug, use the drug, recover, wake up again, look for the drug, use the drug, recover, and it becomes a cycle. So people sell things, anything. If it's a man and the wife is still with him, hajatoroka, I've heard of men who walikuwa wanachukua sufuria wanaigonga wanaipeleka kwa scrap metal iuzwe kama scrap na haijatoboka yapate pesa. They'll start stealing cups, spoons, thermoses, anything you leave wanaiba.
They need money desperately.
They have to use. If they don't use, the withdrawal syndromes are so bad, it would kill them if it is not medically managed. So at compulsive stage is the last stage of addiction and it's normally fatal. If no intervention is done, I've seen a lot of people who died because of substance use and alcoholism. So what I would want people to know from your show is that addiction is fatal. It kills. Don't say aliwekewa kitu kwa pombe. No, alcohol itself, it will kill you. It will kill you without anybody putting anything in it. It's poison. So once you do that cycle now, when you reach now compulsive stage, that's when inpatient has to come in. There is no way you'll be treated outpatient. You have to go inpatient because you have to remove you from the environment. You have to remove you from where the drug is. You have to remove you from your community, from your people, because you're also a pain. You're that thorn in that family. So that's why some people kind of force people to go to rehab. Simply because this person who is so sick does not know they are sick. People who drink fancy, even if you meet them, just ask them one day, you think you have a drinking problem? No, I don't. And what wananionea, hawanipendi, mi sina job, and I laugh and I tell people don't drink because they don't have a job. Actually, people who are drinking most are the people who are working because they have money to drink. People drink and they become idle. Umeenda hiyo process yote fancy, you have lost your job.
Which other job are you saying you don't have?
So you'll be drinking, work itakuwa hiyo cycle. And that's, you'll be obsessed. Actually, I remember one of the people I work with who is in recovery telling me, he realized that job ilikuwa inamalizia time ya yeye kutei. So he left the job. Did it occur to him the job was giving him the money? So that is the last stage. And this is what is now killing our people.
So it means these 4 stages before you reach to the compulsive stage can be treated in an outpatient
program
facility.
Yes, others can be treated just socially. People call you, I think you're going the wrong way. I think the way you're doing, even workplace, they can convince the way you drink is not okay. So they can have other interventions. There are very many ways. We say there are very many pathways to recovery. Very many pathways. So there are people who wake up and say, I got saved, and they stop. I know of a friend of mine who became Muslim and he stopped drinking. Akaslim, and he has never drunk up to today. and he's a practicing Muslim. So his problem was alcohol. He doesn't drink anymore. So the others who something happened. The worst case scenario I remember when I was working in Mathare was one of the guys. I don't know where he is now, and he found himself in the morgue, city morgue. Alikunywa,
Doing what?
alikunywa, akazima. People assumed he's dead.
He's dead.
So he was akaitiwa makarao akawekwa. So that's how I learned morgue hainanga male and a female side. Can you imagine? Yeye aliamka alikuwa ananiambia
Hata kwa fridge, hata kwa fridge.
no, si umeletwa saa hiyo, si mnarushangu hapo sasa, kesho shift ya morning ndio watapanga watu. That was kitambo, not now. Now I don't know how they do, but those days nilikuwa mnawekwa. So he hears himself, anasikia watu kwani he was telling me, student, I thought I had died and gone to hell because naona people of road accidents, blood,
Traumatizing, right?
So yeye aliamka,
Wow.
the way he saw the light akapotelea hapo.
Akachomokea.
So the people in the city mortuary, there was this roundabout hapo. There used to be a guy who had amefiat, alikuwa hapo. Huyo ndio alimpea nguo za kuvaa. He has never drunk. He never went to any rehab. Nobody talked to him.
No,
He stopped drinking. Yeah. So I'm saying people are different. There are very many ways to recovery.
Yeah.
So when it comes to something called relapse, relapse is when you have gone now through treatment. Treatment starts from the beginning. There are people who will tell you, I think I have a problem, I think I need help.
Yeah.
They are the minority. Majority of people who have a substance use disorder or even mental health are not aware. So mostly it's the relatives who know. So they are brought in by their relatives, either parents, either siblings, either spouses. They are the ones who bring them, or institutions where they work. They notice so and so as a problem, so they do that. So what I want to say is that for someone to agree to go into treatment is not as easy as just wake up, like going to the hospital if you have an illness.
So most of the times it's not voluntary.
Yes. And in the Mental Health Act, we have the involuntary admission. Because when somebody is going to harm themselves and harm others, we will not allow them to do that to themselves.
And now that brings me to my next question. If it's not, it's an involuntary, we brought you not because you wanted or you made a decision. Do those people recover?
Actually, I wish you had told me to bring in a few people who are in recovery. The most interesting thing is once they go there and understand the concept that they have not been well, majority maintain sobriety. They were not in a position mentally or psychologically to make a decision that I am unwell. So they don't know they are unwell. So the first month when they go in, they are being done detox, they are being done orientation, is when they start saying, wow, kumbe naweza kaa siku 2-3 sijatei na niko sawa. Kumbe sasa sisikii mashetani zikiniongelesha, sioni vitu haziko. So they are talking about the withdrawal.
Hallucination.
Yeah, the hallucinations, now they're talking about them. So when they realize that, actually they stop using. But there are those people who, even when they go in, they do not deal with the real issues of why they started drinking. A lot of people tell you, mimi nakunywa sababu ya peer pressure. There's always something behind the
root cause.
A root cause. And the root cause can be anything. From being rejected, being abused, verbally, sexually, emotionally, being experiencing separation and divorce, experiencing, seeing something you are not supposed to see, like the people who experience the bomb blast. Those crazy traumas of severe road accidents, or you being somewhere and something bad happens and you're there, or crime people coming at night, wanakuja, wanawaibia, wanawaharas, wanaua watu wenu, as you are seeing. Those things are such deep traumas that if they are not addressed, chances are people go that way. So we need to help them realize themselves and then deal with the past, because it doesn't change. But you have to be well trained to be able to do that. So not every Tom, Dick, and Harry can do this. So you need to be very well trained And probably that's why the KCPA is really insisting on people to be vetted who have really done what they do. As an addiction professional, I'm trained. I'm sure you saw my certificates there. You can see I'm really trained on issues of addiction at a different level than a normal psychologist. So that means this is my forte. This is what I do, addiction. And when somebody comes in here and they tell me that they're having issues with HIV or marriage issues, I don't deal with that. I simply refer to somebody who has specialized in HIV or somebody who has specialized in marriage and family therapy. I simply refer. Adolescent issues, I'm good at them because I'm also trained. Special populations, I'm also trained. That is people with living with disabilities, PWDs. I work with them closely. I work with adolescents. I'm trained to work with them. I'm trained to also work with people with mental health issues. But being aware that when it comes to medication, I have to refer to a psychiatrist who prescribes medication. But I continue with my talk therapy or what we call counseling. It's just therapy. So that's what happens. So for this person who was taken, once they realize, oh, so I was unaware, actually they do well. The issue is if their issues are dealt with. I want you to remember, Fancy, when they went to the rehab, the bars continued being opened. The people in the community don't care that you went to rehab. So when somebody comes out, if they go back most where they were, they don't know how to do things differently. So their peers will start telling them, so you are an alcoholic, so you could, you are an alcoholic,
Yeah.
so you go rehab. And they might not have the strength to say no. They might not want to be rejected by the people they think they are their friends. Maybe when they go back to their families, the parents don't know how to treat this person. So mama bado anaficha
They don't know how
handbag
to draw the line.
between
This is a recovered person.
no.
So they still view you as the alcoholic person you
Yes. And in addiction, there is nothing like
were.
recovery.
They push you back to the addiction.
Yeah, in addiction, we talk of recovery. It's
Yeah.
a continuous process.
Yeah.
Because the minute you touch it, you relapse. So relapse is going back to the same status that you were
You were
before you went for treatment or for the intervention. So in treatment, like any other disease, like asthma, we treat people for asthma, but they'll go and get an asthmatic attack. If they go back to hospital, I've never heard anybody saying, I hatutakupatia dawa because a week ago you had the same attack. What do? We treat. So same with alcoholism, it's a relapsing disease. So if somebody relapses, you need to help them to go back to their sobriety. So most now with evidence-based, there's something we are calling continuum of care. That's where we come in as people with outpatient programs. Because the inpatient programs, they are there. So what they will do, when they release you from the center, they will tell you to go to the groups that are out there, support groups for people in alcoholism, narcotics, sex, gambling. But you still need to deal with your issues. So you need to come back to the outpatient program where you can come in every week once as you try to stabilize. After we notice after a month you're able to stabilize, you come in every 2 weeks for the next 2 or 3 months. As you continue stabilizing, then you'll come in once a month. So there are people who are coming in here once a month and they are stable still, they have not relapsed. So the continuum of care is very important. But most people want you to leave rehab and you're okay, you're dealing. You're still not okay. You're still a long way from being
It's a
okay.
process.
It's a process.
So my next question will be the people around this person who's recovering,
Yeah.
who's in the process of recovering. Is there anything you do? Do you have like a sensitization program for them, or will you only focus on the person who was addicted? Because I'm thinking if you don't have a support system, then you're likely to go back because of those who are immediately,
Yeah, you're right.
saying
That's
with you.
actually what happens. In most rehabs, I work with them. They have programs for the family and the significant others of that patient. If the person has a wife and children, they are normally called in. Actually, it's not sensitization. They are taken through therapy before the person leaves to go home. So you come in, you are educated, You are told also the issues you have at home, how they are affecting this person,
Mm.
and how you can bring a home to what we call homeostasis, stability at home, so as to help this person maintain the sobriety. So a lot of people in inpatient, the significant others are called and they actually do sessions within the time they are there. Others do 6 weeks, others do 90 days, others do 120 days, others do 150 days. So the family is always called in to be taught how to take care of their person and also how to take care of themselves because they're also sick. If you stay with someone who is sick, you also become sick. There's something called codependency, where like mothers actually help their sons to continue drinking. You are giving them money.
In the name of love.
Yeah, you are loving your children to death. You know, I love my son to death because I'm giving him opportunities, multiple opportunities, to continue drinking and drugging, and I'm expecting him to be okay. And of course, he won't be okay. So we talk of the significant others also going through therapy themselves. And even after the person goes home, they're supposed to do also follow up sessions. And that's why we have like mini counseling rooms here. Normally, we use this room for the family therapy because it's big. We can have up to 8 people in family therapy. They go up to 12, depending on how big the family is. But after 12, you can break it into two and do two different, but dealing with the same issue. So we do that a lot. When COVID came, a lot of things changed. So now we go to homes of this person, and we are able to help them understand in their own environment how they need to support their own who has come out from recovery. Before COVID, I don't think we were doing a lot of home visits or home interventions, but COVID taught us that you can actually go to where your client is and help them cope from there. It's a bit expensive when you call a therapist where you are, but again, it works better because they can even come in the evening. So if you're working all through and you don't have time, we do evenings, we do Saturdays, we do Sundays, but with prior arrangements. Yes.
I'm loving your services because we are totally going over and beyond to support. And we cannot assume the fact that Central Kenya is being mentioned a lot. And I would love to thank the spouse of our Deputy President, Mrs. Dorcas Rigadi. She has started a program to empower the boy child because, as we know, mostly our boy child have really immersed into this drug. I don't know whether it's the same, but I think the boy child rate is higher than the girl child.
Yeah, sure.
And they are really supporting, and it's a good thing. And even having, institution like this one, Elewa Levy, among others that are supporting the drug addiction and substance usage. I know September is what do we call it? Suicide month.
Yeah, where we talk and sensitize people on issues of suicide.
Yes.
And why it happens.
Yes.
What can you do about it?
Yeah.
What is something you can do about it? So it's 1 month where people need to understand it's no longer a taboo. This person is normally sick. Yeah. Because for us, it's a taboo. We don't talk about suicide. Even when you have a relative or a friend who committed, you find that people don't like talking about it.
Yeah.
And of course, we say it's wrong, hataenda binguni. We say a lot of things.
Yeah.
But reality is this person is also unwell.
Yes.
I'm yet to meet anybody who committed suicide who did not have a mental health issue. Yes.
Yeah, and that is what I'm saying. I think even suicidal and the mental wellness really marry because, as you're saying, a normal person cannot just wake up and just think of taking their life. Is drug abuse and substance a cause of this suicidal maybe?
Yes, very easily, because when you are in that last stage of addiction, which is compulsive, you become hopeless, worthless. You have reached your end. And when you're high on those substances, some people actually use them to kill themselves. You inject overdose heroin, you call it OD, and you die. Others will drink so much alcohol, they zima for good. So actually, people who are using substances have a higher risk of having suicidal ideations and doing the suicide itself than sober people. Yeah, so there's a very strong connection between substance use and suicidal ideations and suicidality, whereby you feel the need to finish yourself. Yes.
As we wind up this show, we want to thank you because you've been really, you've given us a lot of insight on drug addiction and addiction itself. But I would love to ask you two questions before we round up. What is your lowest moment since you started the Elewa Ulevi?
Not one, not two, but my lowest moments, some this year, where I lost a client had seen and had referred these parents to a psychiatrist. And they told me here in this office that they'll talk their son out of depression. And I told them, if you had been able to talk him out of it, you would not have been here today. There's a test we do here, and this boy had severe depression. I even tried to commit like twice, but the parents didn't know. So for me, that was a red flag, and I told them, please take this young man to the. I even gave them the name of a psychiatrist with a number. I called the psychiatrist. We booked a date. That's how bad it was. That was the following day. So they never took the boy. They took the boy home, and they were going to talk him out of depression. So the boy committed suicide.
Oh no, how old?
23.
Oh no.
So when the mother was calling me, she was blaming herself that they didn't go. And she was saying, Susan, you told us without been talking out, tukampelekea pasta, tukafanya nini. So that was very, very low for me. The other lowest one that happened around COVID time is when some very young girls were introduced to alcohol and they were really raped and sodomized by a group of grown men. And how the girls landed here was because the parents could not believe they had used drugs. Only for them to reach here and we realized I didn't even do those tests. We had to refer them to the gender-based violence hospitals because they had really been messed up. And you see the parents had no clue. That was a low moment for me.
How old again was this patient?
The girls were like 4, between 15 and 17.
They were siblings?
No, they were just friends who had gone out for a party.
Okay.
And they were introduced to alcohol and people took advantage of them. Some, it was their first time drinking, their first time being exposed to sex. So you can imagine the trauma that those girls are going through. And now, it was in 2020. That was a very, very low moment for me. And of course, when people die because of substances, even people I don't know, and I see it, it's really low because I say you're dying out of something that can be sorted out. So those are my lowest moments. Losing young people to substances. Yeah.
And because a coin has two sides, have your best moments.
Best moments mostly is for those people who are in recovery. Who today before you came, I got a call and somebody was telling me I was given your number by so and so. You sorted out his son. He's sober. He has never drunk, and it took it 5 years. So those they make my day. People coming as I go walking. I'm in the supermarket or somebody's coming and so then I've never drunk. So we had So those really make my day. And the one that really topped it all is when somebody who had helped did his wedding, and of course they invited me. That is after like 5 years he's sober. So he just told me come to my wedding. I didn't know he had said he'll call me there in front. Didn't know. So I just went for a wedding like everybody else, only for the groom to say if it was not for me, he would not be doing the wedding. So that I was supposed to give out a present, I ended up getting a present. So those are things that make me very happy. And in our field of addiction, those people who are in recovery, they are people I really admire, and there are people who I'm not in recovery myself. But I feel they respect the fact that I'm in their field, even though I'm not in recovery. I've learned a lot from them. So these are people who really make my day. Yeah.
This has been very insightful. I know our viewers will attest to this. And maybe the next question our viewer will be asking themselves, how can they reach you? Do you have social media pages? Maybe numbers, emails that they can reach you out with?
Sure. Thank you. We are on social media.
Mhm.
The issue of Elewa Ulevi,
Mhm.
I'm sure it's just it.
Mhm.
So if you do anything Elewa Ulevi, that is us.
Mhm.
I have my own personal page of Susan Gitao,
Mhm.
and on our biggest number that we use mostly is 0724
Mhm.
730 117. That is Elewa Ulevi's number. And where we are situated today, we are in Rimuru. This is where our head office is for Elewa Ulevi. So we have another office on Kiambu Road at Pindegwa at the Delta petrol station. We have another office at Nyeri at Haron Plaza. That is our newest office. Then we have an office in Tharaka-Nithi County at Ushirika Plaza and Chuka Town. So those are our current offices. And they can reach us on Elewa Ulevi. We are on Twitter. We are on, I think, of late nasikia niko kwa TikTok. I'm not the one who does that. But I'm not yet there. I'm not yet there. But Instagram, we're there. And of course, on Facebook. Yes.
Which days do you operate?
We operate Monday to Saturday. No more working hours. We do 8:30 to 4:30. The reason we do 4:30 is because after 4:30, if you see a client, then you have to stay until 6 because you need an hour. So we say the last client is at 4:30. So that even if we go to 5:30, it's okay. So on Saturdays, we do from 9 in all the offices, apart from the head office, 9 to 1 over the weekday. Sundays, we don't open. Yes.
Thank you very much. We are happy. I know our viewers will also be happy to view this. And because you've been really authentic with this, I love Elewa Ulevi. If there's something that I've loved, it's the Elewa Ulevi, because we want to hide in so many ways what we are dealing with. But in real sense, you have to be in a position or in a space that you are accepting you're dealing with an addiction, because that is the first step of healing. And guys, we are going to show you around this facility. It is a beautiful facility, so that even when you're coming here, you come with a lot of confidence. Please don't stay home with that addicted person. Don't stay home with, dealing with issues and you don't know where to turn to. Welcome to Elewa Ulevi, and you'll get great and professional people. Thank you very much. And we continue asking you to subscribe, to like, to share your thoughts with us in the comment section, and ensure you're always tuned in. Asante.